Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Electra. I'd like to extend a special welcome this morning to Minister Smith and Piccini, members of the media, and all of our guests. Thank you for joining us here today on this bright sunny day. Wind and sun today, which is great. My name is Brian Benson. I am the president and CEO of Electra Inc. And we're an organization that recently celebrated our 5-year anniversary of amalgamation. And we're proud to serve over 1 million electricity customers here in the province of Ontario. We're also pleased to host today's events at our corporate head office here in Mississauga. This is an important announcement. I'd like to begin this morning by acknowledging that this is within the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, and Haudenosaunee peoples. I'd also like to acknowledge a couple of very important guests we have here this morning, including Susanna Zagar, who is the CEO of the Ontario Energy Board. I've had the privilege of working with Susanna since she was appointed a little over a year ago now, and have been very impressed with her leadership, innovation, customer focus, and stakeholder engagement, and her focus on consumer choice, which is one of the reasons we're here today. So to kick off the proceedings, I'd like to introduce Minister of Energy Todd Smith. I've had the distinct pleasure of working with the minister when he was Minister of Government and Consumer Services, which is responsible for the Electricity Safety Authority, which oversees all public safety for electricity in the province of Ontario. I was the chair of the board of that entity at the time, and I got to know the minister and became well aware that he has a very strong passion for electricity, the electricity file, well informed on the file, but more importantly, he cares about the consumers in this province and looking for innovative ways to make the system better and increase consumer choice. And with that, it's my great pleasure to introduce Minister Smith.
Thanks very much, Brian. It's great to be with everybody here today on a beautiful day. If we could turn the wind down just a bit, it would be that much more comfortable. A beautiful day here in Mississauga, and great to be here along with my colleague, Minister Tangri, our small business minister, who is a local MPP as well for this area. So it's great to have you here. And Minister Piccini, our Minister of Environment, Conservation and Parks, for a really important announcement. And Brian and all of your team here, and the good work that you've been doing on this file for quite some time, and our special guests like Teresa Sarkeesian from the Electricity Distributors Association, and Susanna, and many others who are here today. This announcement today is something that's going to make life more affordable for Ontario families and businesses, and take more control over their energy bills, which, as Brian mentioned, is something we've been focused on at the Ministry of Energy since I've been there for sure. Back in November, we celebrated the 1-year anniversary of our government introducing customer choice. And with this first initiative, electricity customers across the province gained the power to choose between time of use pricing or tiered pricing on their electricity bills, providing an option to choose based on their lifestyle or their business. And to date, more than 300,000 customers have considered their options and benefited from this opportunity, and they've made the switch. This is just one example of our many ongoing efforts that have managed to reverse the trend of skyrocketing electricity prices that we saw under the previous government, and given families and businesses more control when it comes to their own energy bills. Back in November, our government took a second major step in providing customer choice by requiring all electricity utilities, including Electra, to implement Green Button by the end of 2023. This will give Ontarians access to their natural gas and also their hourly electricity use on their smartphone through apps of their choosing. Studies have found that easy access to energy data, which Green Button does, along with many smart home devices, provide consumers with the power to be able to make informed decisions and achieve energy savings of up to 18%, which is very significant. Today, we're announcing a third step in expanding customer choice in Ontario, and it's a step that I'm personally really excited to share, as this is something that I pushed the previous government to adopt as the opposition critic for energy 5 years ago. And I recall in my office on the fourth floor, Brian, talking to you about this back in 2017 or 2016 when you were talking about this here at Electra. I was the opposition energy critic for 3 years leading into the 2018 election. So it's with this sense of excitement that I share that in my capacity as Minister of Energy, I've requested that the Ontario Energy Board provide me with options to implement a new residential and small business electricity price plan that would include a new ultra-low overnight rate to make better use of the surplus electricity that our province still has during the nighttime hours. By introducing this new pricing option, we would offer customers a third electricity price, and it would be a third electricity price plan to choose from. It's an option for Ontario families and farms and small businesses that may be a better fit for their lifestyles or their businesses. This voluntary time of use price plan would benefit so many Ontarians that keep this province running, including shift workers and businesses that use more electricity in the overnight hours, or have the ability to shift some of their processes to overnight hours. Also, with electric vehicle use expanding, this new rate would support those families who are looking to better manage their energy bills by reducing EV charging costs if they choose to charge at home during the night when the province has surplus electricity. And as EVs become more affordable, I believe this will go a long way towards making EV ownership even more accessible for many Ontarians by further lowering the cost to refuel or charge their vehicles. Delivering this ultra-low overnight rate is possible as our province continues to have excess electricity during overnight hours that we often have to sell off to Michigan or to New York. And by incentivizing overnight electricity consumption, we can actually make better use of Ontario's clean electricity supply when province-wide demand is low, increasing grid efficiency at the same time and providing future bill savings for all Ontario ratepayers, whether or not they choose this third rate option. It would also help us to meet our Made in Ontario Environment Plan emissions target through reduced carbon emissions, because while annually we do have an electricity grid that is more than 90% emissions free, it would promote more nighttime electricity use, which is often 100% emissions free. To support the implementation of the new rate, today our government launched a public consultation on the environmental registry. We will consider the results of this consultation alongside the Ontario Energy Board's report back with the intention of working with local distribution companies like Electra to make this third new pricing plan available to customers by April of 2023. As many of you know, this new rate builds on other significant partnerships that our government has announced in the last few months to support the adoption of EVs, including the installation of level 3 electric vehicle charging stations at all of the en route locations across Ontario. And I'm looking forward to opening the first of those stations a little bit later on this month. And as mentioned, they will be at every en route location over the next year or so. Our province's energy advantage has long been our world-class clean and reliable electricity system. This additional ultra-low overnight rate lets us put that advantage to use, giving hardworking Ontarians more flexibility and control over their energy bills so they can keep more money in their pockets while boosting our world-class auto sector and continuing to protect the future of our environment. And on that environmental note, I'm really pleased to pass the podium over to my good friend, Minister Piccini, to provide some comments today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Todd. It's great to be here with my colleagues, Minister Smith, Minister Tangri, and Electra's Brian Benz. Brian, thank you for the work that you're doing, you and staff, to build a more sustainable, greener future for us all. You know, we've, as a government, have been laser focused on building a better Ontario for future generations. And that means a more sustainable future, a greener future for our children and our grandchildren. I'm pleased that under the leadership of Premier Ford, we're doing this important work and leading the country in decarbonizing. We're working with communities and businesses and making great strides to meet our emissions reduction target of 30% from 2005 levels by 2030 in full. We're doing this by embracing new technologies, working with business, and building a cleaner, more sustainable processes and energy sources. As Minister Smith said, we have a distinct energy advantage here in the province of Ontario. And this means we're going to be tapping into that clean energy grid, which is, we know, 94% emissions free. As Minister Smith said, lower electricity rates would help families and businesses save money on electricity. This is also major in helping incentivize more Ontarians to leverage our clean energy advantage by choosing climate-friendly electric vehicles. This is an exciting solution not only for bills at the end of the month, but for the growth of Ontario as a hub for electric vehicles. It's not just about using it, it's about building it. We're building things again in the province of Ontario, making things with our hands, working with and for workers. As someone who proudly hails along the 401 corridor in Port Hope, I'm proud to see General Motors, Ford, and a number of others making the investments right here in the province of Ontario. Supporting workers, we're building a greener future and making electric vehicles right here in Ontario. Ontario is rich in resources to produce electric vehicles and batteries. And I'm also working alongside closely with colleagues Minister Rickford, recently up at Treaty 9 territory in Mushkegowuk, James Bay, working on a critical mineral strategy. It's a whole of government approach that's working with Indigenous partners, that's working with businesses, working with working Ontarians, unions, to leverage our might, to leverage the clean energy grid, to leverage our talent in the province of Ontario. And we're positioned to surge forward, to lead North America in developing and building electric cars into the future. Our 2021 budget includes a commitment to invest over $56 million to create an Ontario Vehicle Innovation Network to accelerate the development of the next generation of electric vehicles. Auto sector leaders like Ford, Stellantis, and GM have already committed to investing $4.3 billion in projects that will create new clean tech jobs in the province and lead us to being a global hub for electric vehicles. Today's announcement will provide more incentives to consumers to buy electric vehicles, with another significant step in helping Ontario meet its economic and environmental goals. As we pursue a greener future, it's about taking advantage of exciting directives and announcement that Minister Smith has made today. It's about supporting Ontarians and doing this in a cost-effective manner, giving them choice. A greener future means working alongside workers, working alongside leaders like you here at Electra, and working to build a more sustainable future for generations to come. And we're not going to do it alone. It's about working together and leveraging on our climate change impact assessment, leveraging announcements like today, building a greener future with electric vehicles. I'm confident that Ontario can continue to lead today and for future generations to come. I'm excited to now turn it over to someone I'm working closely with small businesses. Small businesses have a role to play in a greener future as well. And we've got incredible, talented entrepreneurs in the province of Ontario, and there's no better champion for them than Minister Tangri. So Minister, proud to be at your home here in your riding, and I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Minister Piccini, for that very kind introduction, as always. And it really is a pleasure to join all of you here today in my riding of Mississauga Streetsville. And I really want to thank you here at Electra Utilities for hosting this very important announcement. I also want to thank my colleague, Minister Todd Smith, for the opportunity to talk about how a new optional ultra-low overnight electricity rate plan would help families and small businesses, as well as the future of Ontario's auto sector. But before I do, I would like to take a moment to recognize that Electra provides reliable energy to about 1 million homes and businesses across 17 Ontario communities, including right here in Mississauga. We count on our local utilities for customer service, and we appreciate your work on the front lines of our electricity system. I also want to thank Brian and the team at Electra for leading the charge when it comes to electric vehicle adoption. The new proposed price plan being announced today builds on a pilot led by Electra to examine the feasibility of an ultra-low off-peak price. This spirit of innovation towards a clean energy future is shared by our government. Our government understands the past 2 years have been incredibly challenging for everyone, which is why I'm so proud that the many initiatives we've introduced since taking office that have helped families and businesses across the province save money. This includes initiatives like the Ontario COVID-19 Small Business Relief Grant. We're providing $10,000 for eligible businesses that were required to close in January under the modified Step 2 of the Roadmap to Reopen. This builds on nearly $3 billion we provided last year through the Ontario Small Business Support Grant, which helped over 110,000 small businesses right here in Ontario. Through the Ontario Business Costs Rebate Program, we're also providing rebate payments to eligible businesses for a portion of the property tax and energy costs they've incurred while subject to capacity limits or temporary closures. And I want to thank Minister Smith for his leadership in all those efforts. And of course, today, the new ultra-low overnight electricity price plan, which will allow families and businesses to save money on their energy costs. The proposed news rate plan also aligns with Ontario's move towards increasing electric vehicle production and would help support electric vehicle adoption across the province. The auto industry is being reinvented around electric and autonomous vehicles, the technology of the future. Phase 2 of our Driving Prosperity Plan, announced last November, emphasizes our government's commitment to building the automotive industry of the future right here in Ontario. It's anchored by the objective to maintain and grow Ontario's auto sector by building at least 400,000 electric and hybrid vehicles annually by 2030, as well as the electric batteries needed to power those vehicles. This new proposed price plan would reduce overnight electric vehicle charging costs when province-wide electricity demand is lower. As we move forward to an electric vehicle future, this will help more and more Ontarians who purchase or operate those vehicles by reducing their overnight charging costs. It's one of the many important initiatives that will strengthen our economy and put more money back in the pockets of hard-working Ontarians. And with that, I want to thank each and every one of you, and I would like to turn it back to Brian Bentz, President and CEO of Electra, for closing remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And, I can't say how pleased I am to hear of this announcement here today. Thank you, Minister, for your leadership on this. It's very important that we innovate on initiatives like this. And we've been very passionate about it here at Electra for some time. We know, as has been articulated, there are multiple benefits to an initiative like this. It empowers consumer choice. It enables e-mobility in our communities. It lowers greenhouse gas emissions by enabling sustainability and the adoption of EVs. And it reduces strain on the grid. As we said, the transformers, when vehicles are charging, it can see excessive loading. When we have an overnight rate, we can reduce the strain on the system, and we can use our assets more efficiently and reduce costs that way as well. So multiple benefits here. And it takes a village to build an initiative like this. And so I have to acknowledge some of our team leaders, starting with Nitika Sate, who is the head of our Green Energy and Technology Division. She's our innovation champion. So thank you, Nitika. And Daniel Carr, who leads all of our EV mobility initiative. He's the genius behind all of this. So I'm really thankful and proud that I have such a great team behind me. So with that, Minister, we look forward to working with you over the coming months to make this pilot project become a reality. right across Ontario, and we're happy to start right here at Electra in our service area to make this a success. Thanks everyone for attending today. I don't know if we have any questions or how we want to proceed, but
just no questions from media today, so thank you.
thanks everyone for attending. Appreciate it. Thank you.